Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm upstairs. Usually I'm in my basement office recording this, but I did it upstairs. It looks really beautiful outside and it's a little bit sunnier up here, which is nice. Good for my own well-being. And so I got with me here MCAT. I don't know if you can see him. Hopefully you can. And I got Harry over here. He's sleeping. You might hear some noise in the background because Hermione is currently viciously and playfully attacking one of her mice, her toy mice. We don't have actual mice in our house, at least that I know of. Hopefully we don't. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about somatic basics and how we can become embodied and reduce our pain and symptoms. So let's get into it. When we become disconnected from our body, we're more likely to develop chronic pain and chronic symptoms. And you may be asking why this is the case. And it's for several reasons. First off, when you become disconnected from your body, you're no longer taking cues off your internal state. So whether it's your emotions, whether it's your autonomic state, whether it's other danger signals that are being sent, if we're not aware of our body, we're not taking cues off of it. And then as a result, we're completely unaware. And I hear this a lot with people where they're so unaware of their internal state until all of a sudden pain or fatigue or dizziness or tinnitus starts to be produced. And then we're super aware. And so to heal from mind-body concerns, we need to become aware of our internal state and actually start taking cues off of it. For a lot of people, they get lost in their head. And I spent a lot of my life just in my head, thinking, just constantly having fear thoughts and preoccupation. And when this is happening, you're just constantly putting your nervous system more and more on high alert. It's just feeling more and more danger. We're not meant as human beings to just be cognitively thinking. We're meant to be connected to our body and live through our body. And so to heal, we need to become embodied. We need to start living life through our nervous system, through our internal state. And this takes time to develop. And to be honest, I'm still working at this. It's not an easy feat. And so today I'm going to talk about some basics of somatic practices. And this information comes from Somatic Experiencing. So let's dive into the topic. Mindfulness of internal sensations. Identify, describe, and drop in. Sensations are the language of your nervous system. Your nervous system, it doesn't speak cognitive words. It speaks to us through sensations. And so the starting place is we need to identify what we're feeling in our body. What are we experiencing? Is it emotions? Is it your autonomic state? Is it, visceral sensations or the sensations you feel in your muscles? So even right now, it's just tuning in. You kind of scan your body. What do you notice? Are there burny sensations, tingly sensations? Does it feel hot or cold anywhere? Do your muscles feel tight or do they feel loose? It's just picking an area and looking at, what is it? What am I experiencing this like? How am I experiencing this in my body? And just noticing where you're experiencing it. Is it widespread or is it more localized to a few spots? And by doing this, by first identifying, then describing the sensation a bit, and then the final step is dropping in. It's with each exhale, seeing if you can sink towards the sensations you're feeling. If they feel accessible to you, we don't want to overwhelm you. But it's with each exhale, it's dropping into the body and experiencing it. Explore and approach. After you've identified, described, and dropped into your body, we need to spend some time exploring it. So often we focus on the really intense sensations, especially if it's pain or fatigue or other physical symptoms, but there's other subtleties to it. There's other subtle sensations that are taking place, and we want to get connected to those too and really get to know them. So when you're exploring, you want to be curious and you want to be interested. Really have this mindset of wanting to get to know your body instead of forcing things to change. And so when we explore it, I always tell people to think about, in terms of the sensation, what color is it? What size would it be? What weight would it be? What's the shape? What's the texture? It's thinking about all of these things as you explore your body. And then once we've explored, if it feels accessible to you and not overwhelming, it's about approaching. So often we live neck up, so we avoid sensations at all cost. But part of somatic practice is slowly starting to approach. See what happens if you sit with the sensation in your body and you allow yourself to sink towards it. Notice as you do that, what else changes in your body? What's different? How does your breathing or your heart rate or your muscles change in any way? Just connecting in this way to your body as you attend to the sensations and approach them. Titration. What's the right amount of sensation or stimulation you can attend to in your body before your nervous system goes into a high state of fight or flight or shuts down and goes into dorsal vagal? We want to get the titration right. We're not just diving into our body and focusing on any sensation, no matter how intense. Because if we don't get the titration right, it can result in a re-traumatization, where our nervous system goes into defense mode and we end up feeling more unsafe in our body. And so part of, a somatic practice that people get frustrated with sometimes is you need to go slow. You need to go slow and be gentle. And so we want to explore, what's the level of titration you can get to and still be in the here and now, still be present and feel a sense of safety. And we do this with somatic tracking with pain or symptoms. Alan Gordon talks about this. You're not just attending to pain when it's a 9 out of 10. That's going to be too much. And so with somatic tracking, you're also making sure you're following the process where it's mild to moderate. And that's subjective. It's a little bit different person to person. Some people can only attend to a pain level of 2 out of 10. Other people can right off the bat attend to a 6. So just start where you're at, because if you try to attend to sensations when they're too intense, you're just going to get overwhelmed and cause your nervous system just to go into protection mode. Resources. Resources are essential for somatic work. And resources are anything that help us have a deeper connection to the here and now as we're attending to our body. It prevents us from feeling really disorganized, and resources allow us to feel calm inside, to have a calmness as we attend somatically. Now, resources, they can be internal or external. So first off, internal resources, these are things like sensations. So I always think about the senses, right? In terms of going out in nature and listening to the sounds, is that a resource to you? Does that bring about a sense of calmness? Is it sight? Exploring the room with your eyes, finding a place your nervous system really wants to look. Does that bring about a sense of calmness and connect you more to the here and now? It could be even things like soothing touch. This is something that you do lots, whether it's your hands on your chest or giving yourself a gentle hug, or maybe even just doing a gentle massage kind of throughout your body. Internal resources are really vital in this way. Now, we can also attend to pleasant sensations in our body. Usually if we scan our body, we can find a place that feels more pleasant or neutral or feels calm or at ease. And a resource could just be attending to that sensation. It's not like we're just attending to unpleasant sensations in our body. That's not the practice. We need to practice using resources and shifting to something that brings about a state of calmness and connects us to the here and now. In terms of resources, sometimes I have people visualize a happy memory or a person, place, or animal that naturally brings about a sense of ease for them. So make sure you're using internal resources as you're doing somatic work. You can intentionally practice shifting back and forth between unpleasant sensations that feel kind of more overwhelming. Make sure you get the titration right, and also pleasant sensations or sensations that bring about a calmness and connect you to the present. We need both. And so part of this work, part of the somatic work that people get mixed up around is they just want to attend to the unpleasant things in their body. But that's not it. We also need to learn how to attend to pleasant or neutral sensations that connect us to the present, that connect us to the here and now. Now, there's also external resources that we can utilize when doing somatic work. This could be cuddling with your partner and just co-regulating together. This could be watching a funny TV show. It could be having a warm cup of coffee or tea in the morning. I know one of mine is drinking coffee in the morning. And that's a really good resource that I have. It could be as simple as going out in nature, going for a walk, or just feeling the sun on your skin. And I have a video that I go through anchoring, like the who, what, when, and where, that anchors you in a ventral vagal state that you can check out, because those are all resources that you can utilize while you're doing this somatic work internally. So make sure you're resourcing. Don't forget about this. Don't just focus on the unpleasant. You're going to get too overwhelmed. You also need to support your nervous system still being in the here and now. Pendulation. This is the natural ebb and flow your nervous system has of more energy and less energy. Given the right conditions, our nervous system naturally has this flow of more energy, sympathetic, and less energy, parasympathetic. What it wants to do is it wants to do this nice wave between the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches. That's what we're going for. And I want to be clear, you're not going to force this. This is involuntary. We're just setting up the right conditions. And up until this point in the video, that's how we're setting up the right conditions. Doing everything we've talked about thus far. Because what'll happen when people experience trauma or they experience chronic pain or chronic symptoms is their system gets locked into a really high level of fight or flight activation, or it shuts down where it's just like completely compressed. It shuts down, it collapses, and we're lost in hopelessness and despair. And so it's watching as you do the somatic work if your nervous system naturally can pendulate. Over time, we wanted to have the ability to pendulate between a higher level of energy, really opening up, and then a lower level of energy, and just naturally doing this. And by doing everything we've talked about thus far in this video, this is how we give our nervous system the right conditions to do this. But if you're doing the work and you get the titration wrong, and you attend to something that's a little too intense, and you feel overwhelmed, your system will get locked up. You're going to be caught in like a really high sympathetic state or completely shut down in a dorsal vagal state. And if that happens, we need to take it slower. We need to lower the titration and give our nervous system the ability to start to pendulate again, working towards accepting and allowing all sensations to occur. Over time, we're working towards letting go of control and reducing the resistance. And this takes time to do. As we've talked about in this video with titration, we're slowly increasing it. We're giving our nervous system the ability to learn to tolerate more sensation and less sensation. That's the idea. And it's not going to happen overnight. It takes consistent practice. And sometimes for a lot of people, they need to work with a therapist so that we can slowly titrate things so that your nervous system can handle more stimulation and less stimulation. Over time, a reorganization of the pathways and functions of the nervous system takes place, and the survival responses are completed. Basically, the high level of arousal in your nervous system becomes discharged and you're able to self-regulate. And when we're self-regulated, we're able to attend to the sensations in our body without becoming overwhelmed, and we're also able to attend to the external world without becoming overwhelmed. So I hope this video on somatic basics was helpful. Please put your questions or comments down below, hit the like button, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all next time. Happy healing.